Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, buddy.
In case you don't know where we are, we're in a house with some microphones, and we're going to say some shit.
That sounds like the fucking... What movie is that? That I'm just a guy standing in front of a girl. That Tom Hanks movie? God damn it, never mind. We do this all the fucking time.
It very well could be, I don't know.
We get sidetracked so fucking much in these.
But, that's what makes it sweet.
Yeah, we're finally fucking back. Well, I mean, you've continuously done this. I took a little break, but I'm back now.
It's called, I believe they call it a hiatus.
Yes, it was a hiatus.
Something like that.
Yeah, dude, it feels weird coming back to this.
Well, it's because, you didn't deep throat the mic first for luck.
You know what? You're right.
I did.
My good luck ritual?
Yeah, I tried it, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh, you didn't try, you succeeded.
Haha, yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Ho ho ho.
Well, how have you guys been? Talk to me. Let me know how you guys, if you missed me. Do you even miss me at all?
You use your words or your keyboards or your thoughts. He has ESPN.
Yes, on all channels.
He can read minds.
Speaking of ESPN, what's our topic for today, my friend? Me boyo?
If I remember right, you were saying it's something about 49ers?
No. Oh, you mean a murder?
Yes, that too. It is not about this movie, but it has to do with a topic of a great movie called The Exorcist.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, what is it? Dirty Dancing.
The one with Lou Ferrigno.
No, that's Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, they all look alike.
Wow. All muscular, handsome men look alike to you?
I mean, I suppose.
Made it awkward.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
It's my specialty. Yeah, so, what movie are you talking about?
The Exorcist.
Yeah, boy. Well, technically they're both they have movies based on them. I believe the one you're doing is The Exorcist. The one I'm doing is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. So if you guys didn't figure it out by now, the letter of the day is exorcisms. That's the word of the day.
So remember, when you're going to the store, ask your mom if you can get your exorcisms.
Get yourself a nice 12-pack of exorcisms.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was kind of hard to figure out this week's topic because we had to scroll back through all the fucking episodes we did, and we're like, did we do this one? Like, yep, we have an episode on that. Like, do we do possessions? Like, yep. Do we do Ouija boards? Like, yep.
Yeah, it's hard trying to remember what you've done, but I know this we haven't really delved too deep into.
Yeah, needless plug. Go check out our previous episodes if you want to hear more on the subject of the paranormal, which we clearly cover. And I want to honk my own horn. I say we do it fairly well.
I would like to think so. I mean, we're still around, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. It's been, 4 years for you and 2 for me?
Yeah, since, I think, mid 2018.
Yeah. I started, I think, mid 2020.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, but we're still around. We're still kicking.
We are.
Yeah, I apologize for this episode. My research was done a little hastily. So if I'm missing any facts, I apologize. It's kind of weird coming back to do this first time without having to do, my usual prep, which is 2 days. And I write everything down I jot it down on a notebook, which makes it easier for me to remember and, read it back.
Right.
But, yeah, I just, quickly, I was like, let's throw an episode out. We haven't done it in a minute. And then I just kind of, researched, the last 2 hours of work.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. So if you're going to ask anything, you better half-ass it.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We had to take a quick break to move around.
Yeah, I couldn't see him, and it was weird. I was just staring into this black box of an abyss.
Yeah, we have the little boxes around the microphones to kind of cut out extra sound.
Yeah.
But the one downside of it is you can't see your co-host.
No. So that's where this shift comes in handy.
Yeah. So, yeah, today's episode's about exorcisms.
Well, since it's been a while, why don't you go ahead and start with your exorcism?
My exorcisms? Yeah, this one was kind of... it's been covered before, like, countless times.
Yeah.
But going back and, like, watching, like, videos of the exorcism, like, pictures of how she looked like after the exorcism, it's really fucking disturbing. Like, I forgot how, like, draining doing the research for this is.
Right.
Especially when it's, like murders I can handle. Like, oh, okay, somebody just went... But it's, like, more paranormal, like, the spiritual side of something. Where it's like, oh, demonic priest or demons or ghosts or some shit like that. It always kind of... It feels very taxing. Like, it feels like it takes a bit out of you.
It definitely can. But
yeah,
paranormal is just the way to go. It
is. So, my case is on the exorcism of Anneliese Michel.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so she was a German woman. Let me ask you a question real quick. When you're talking about exorcism, how many is too many?
I mean, I honestly don't think there is too many, being as technically trying to save a person, just like,
okay, but let me ask you this. How many exorcisms would you be okay with being performed on you?
I mean, as many as needed to get the demon out of me.
I mean, I guess, but I would say maybe more than one exorcism is a little, like, dangerous.
I would say at least 5 or 6 for me, and that's my cap.
So, Anneliese went through 67 exorcisms.
Yeah, that'll definitely take it out of you.
Oh, yeah, no, it did. Spoilers. It took the shit out of her. So, she was... she was young when this started, to say the least. I think she was like 16 when all of like this started happening.
Yeah.
So she was a German girl. I'm going to give you guys a cliff notes from what I remember. So, she started like, she had a seizure. So that's kind of how everything started. And, so this all started when she was like 16, which is already a fairly young age to have to go through any of this shit.
Yeah.
So she started experiencing like seizures and shit. So her first one was clearly at 16. So basically they went to the doctor, and what they had diagnosed her with originally was psychosis caused by temporal lobe epilepsy. She was also with depression, and later on she would be treated for schizophrenia. So they ended up medicating her by that age. So at 16, she was already being medicated for this stuff. Which, okay. I mean, I'll give them props, dude, for being the fucking, was it the 60s, 50s, 60s? They were really on top of that shit.
Yeah, I mean,
you got ghosts in your bones.
But at the same time, that's the era, I believe they were still doing lobotomies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was, that was a huge thing.
So
we'll be back after a quick break.
Are you a huge cunt?
Us too. Wait, can we even say cunt?
Of course. It's empowering these days. Cunt, 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 cunt. I'm Ange Ballastone, a.k.a. the drag queen, That Girl Gina.
And I'm Mike Fales, just a normal gay guy, I guess?
And we're the hosts of The Big Cunty Couch,
a gorgeous new talk show podcast where we invite queers and peers to sit, bitch, and be fierce on a huge-ass couch.
while we gab about all things gay.
So come get cozy.
And cunty.
With us. We're panned for platforms, so find us anywhere online and get listening, sweetie.
Or watching.
Or both.
Otherwise, why the hell am I in full drag?
And we'll see you on the big... Oh, wait. I thought we were going to say that together.
No. On the Big Cunty Couch. Mwah.
they were on top of shit, but was it in the right way? Because, I mean, they said psychosis, but we were just watching something right now that explained that technically, by itself, psychosis really isn't anything.
Yeah, so hers wasn't just psychosis. It was psychosis, depression, schizophrenia, and epilepsies. So her mother claims that, like, at this point, her daughter started saying she was hearing voices and seeing demonic faces. And she started to become very, like, intolerant of, like, religious items. Like, crucifixes, what are they called? Well, the crosses,
Yeah.
any religious imagery. So she would say like, they tried taking her to like a holy temple, like a holy site. And she said she couldn't stand there because the ground was burning her feet and it was hurting her. And she couldn't stare at like pictures of like Jesus or saints because they were like glimmering really bright and they were like hurting her eyes and giving her headaches.
That's when you say, show me, Satan.
Yeah, and then at one point, her mom claims that she had allegedly, she claims that she had woken up like in the middle of the night, and she walked out because she heard noises, and when she went outside, it was her daughter staring at a statue of the Virgin Mary that they had, and she was like just staring at, like growling at it, and that her eyes were all black. So, yeah, there was that.
I mean, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, so Annalise also claimed that she would constantly smell burning feces, and then later on in her life, everybody else started claiming that they could smell it as well.
Which is straight up demons.
Yeah. So after like all this shit started happening, the doctors didn't really know what it was. They scanned her brain. They did like what's it called, the CAT scans on her brain, and they noticed just minor like little details on her brain that could be seen as abnormal, but nothing serious that should have caused any of this. So what ended up happening was some versions of the story say that they had. So what ended up happening was they had gone to the doctor again for another checkup because things was only getting worse.
Yeah.
She had another epileptic seizure. So what ended up happening, the newer doctor that they had gone to took her off the seizure medication she was on before and put her onto a new one, which was supposed to also help with like the schizophrenia a bit.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening at this point was things kept getting worse and worse and worse. So now at this point, she's like intolerant of any religious items. She's eating flies and spiders. She's refusing to eat actual food.
Oh God.
She would go to the point where she would like start hurting herself to supposedly atone for her sins or for the demon that's supposedly in her.
Jesus.
Yeah, to the point where she would like whip herself so much that to the point that she would get so weak from like fucking hitting herself that people would have to help her up to like go use the restroom and shit.
Oh, damn.
And things are getting progressively worse now. Like I said, she's eating flies, she's eating spiders, she's licking her own urine off the ground.
I mean, spiders is where I draw the no.
But not the piss. Okay.
No.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So some accounts say that when they went to the doctors did a scan. Like I said, they didn't find anything, just some minor abnormalities.
Right.
So the doctor suggested going and talking to a priest about all this shit that's going on.
So the mama called the doctor, and the doctor said,
no more Annalise's exercising on the bed?
yes.
Oh, God. But some other accounts said that the family just went and found somebody.
Right.
After they had called the priest, he did like his kind of like investigation before they can actually issue the exorcism. And during this, you got to remember, she's not eating. She's very weak. But she also said that like part of the possessions are like, I think there's 3 rules before they can actually proceed with the exorcism.
Which would
So let's see if I remember this right. So one of the main ones is like completely like you can only see the white of their eyes. So like they still have vision, but you can only see the white of their eyes. The second one was they're supposed to have abnormal strength. Like you gotta remember, this is a fucking tiny girl with like hasn't been eating, so she's like already to this point getting malnourished.
Right.
But
right.
there's claims of her like she could toss her sister around like a rag doll. They said that she had crushed an apple with just one hand. Which, I mean, have you ever tried that?
I've never tried, but now I'm tempted to try.
$20 says you can't with one hand.
I mean, I don't have $20, but I'll do a normal.
Our normal bet?
Yes.
A drink. Yes. I will get you an apple. But she said that with ease, just crushed it. And then when they had to try to like hold her down to say the prayers, that it took several men to like pin her down so they can do this. And
sounds fairly superhuman-esque.
yes. And the third one is that they show knowledge of something that they should not have knowledge of. So this plays into a little bit further on when they bring in the second priest. It actually starts to like, it gets super fucking creepy. Like I said, there's audio of all this shit, and I was listening to it right before the podcast.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like get more in detail of what it is. And I hate doing that. Like anything that has to do with like possession. Like I hate having to actually investigate any of the proof of it.
Right.
But they had an audio recording of like where she's possessed and she's being like questioned by the priest. And you were sitting right here on the couch when I told you this. As soon as like it's like before the audio started, like right before the audio started, subtitles were on my phone about what she was saying because she's speaking German. She's a little German girl.
Yeah.
And the priest is like asking her a question right before she talked. My earphones gave out. Like they just fucking died. And I was like, what the fuck? So I tried like turning them back on and then nothing. And I just let the video keep going. But I like when it was like right about to end like the video, they're still questioning her a bit. They come back on. And I was like, there is no way in hell I'm going to go back and try to fucking listen to that.
That's just a little bit creepy.
Yeah. So the priest in the video is asking her, like, oh, are you alone or is there somebody else in there? What's your name? And she starts spouting out like random names. She's like, Hitler's in here. Nero's in here. I don't remember who the other guy was. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. But it was just generally bad people in history. Like they've seen like the worst. And we're the
Adam
third.
Sandberg?
No. Andy Samberg? No. But where the third rule for the rite of exorcism comes in was she had mentioned a priest from like the fucking 1820s. His name was like Francis Dumont or something like that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she shouldn't have known about him. Like, it's not like a readily available information that it was a priest that got excommunicated from the church like a long time ago because he was doing not so good stuff.
What was he doing?
Just general blasphemy. Just like bad stuff. He was fornicating. He was fucking, he was basically charging people for prayers.
I mean, when money's tight, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a priest, you're not really supposed to be doing that.
True.
He was fornicating. But that was the whole thing, was like she had like a bunch of information on him, which she should have had. So they ended up going on with the rites for the exorcism. And like I said, one exorcism's already too much.
I had to. I couldn't hold it anymore.
So we can agree one exorcism is a little too much, right?
Yes.
She went through 67.
God damn.
Yeah. So on her, I don't want to spoil it, but on her last exorcism, like the last
she died?
day. No. On the last day, they were praying for her and just doing all the general stuff, like taking care of her and trying to feed her and shit.
In nomine Patri Filii Spiritus Sancti.
She was asking for forgiveness, and then she was asking for, she's basically repentance.
Yeah.
And the next day, when her family went to go check on her, she was dead. So this is where you hit the second half of the story. This is one of the only trials, exorcisms to ever go on trial. So she officially, her cause of death was dehydration and malnourishment. When she died, she only weighed 67 pounds. This was a 23-year-old woman we're talking about.
Well, the question is, though, how is that the priest's fault when she couldn't or wouldn't eat?
So basically what they're trying to say was the priests were supposed to report the malnourishment, like to the hospital, call a doctor, anything like that.
Yeah.
But
They didn't
What
do
happened
shit.
was the priest did call a doctor. And the doctor said, I'm sorry, gotcha. I saw your face. I
No
fucking
more
got you.
getting exercised on the bed.
I fucking got you there.
I was like, oh shit, all right, well, let's hear it. It's getting juicy.
So the doctor didn't go as a doctor. The doctor went as a religious spectator to see what the fuck was going on. Because they're saying like she had a bunch of lesions on her body that would kind of like cure themselves. And so when she died, one of the main signs of malnourishment are like lesions, like boils on the body. When they checked her body, nothing. Not a fucking lesion, nothing, just a malnourished girl. So basically what they're trying to pin on him is, you know what your duty was. You saw that she wasn't healthy, but yet you didn't try to help her.
Right.
And they got two of the priests and along with the parents as well for this. But they did try to feed her. She just wouldn't eat.
Right.
So it ended up going to court, and the two priests got tried. They got tried for, was it unintentional homicide or
something like that?
Negligence or something like that. I don't remember quite what
it
the charge
could be
was.
negligence. It could be homicide because the person still did die.
Yeah, so I don't quite remember what it was, but they ended up getting convicted. And they got sentenced to 6 months in prison each. But that was commuted. And instead, they got 3 years of probation instead. So...
Well, I mean, of course, no one in the church is going to get touched.
They're the ones doing the touching.
Exactly. Don't trust clergymen.
Yeah.
They just want to see what's under your pants.
But after all this stuff, after all of this story, here's what I found really interesting. So the family had asked permission to exhume the body of Annalise because she was buried. They said she was buried quite hastily, and they wanted to give her like a real coffin and a real funeral.
Yeah.
So when they dug up the body, it hadn't decomposed. I want to say this was maybe like 8 months to a year. So little to no sign of decomposition. So when they moved her and buried her, her grave became kind of like a visitor's area. Like, how can I put it?
Like people thought it was some miracle type thing.
Not a miracle, more as like people do pilgrimages to go visit this grave. So like people that are like really interested in the story, they'll go and they'll find like a landmark, like this is where she's buried, this is all that shit. And people still go to this day down to Germany just to go visit this grave.
I wish they would exhume the body now to see what it looks like.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I'm guaranteed it's decomposed fully.
So what would you do if it wasn't?
I'll buy you a drink. I don't know. I fucking if I know.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah, but that was like the whole thing, dude. It was, and like I said, they loosely based her story on that Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah,
I remember watching the movie and I was like little, and I was like, this is fucking crazy, dude. But yeah, that I don't know, because at the same time, there was like a lot of like disease and like shit going around like mentally that they didn't quite understand. And after all this shit that she went through, it kind of begs the question, was she actually possessed, or did they just not understand what was going on with her?
Well, I mean, in some ways, yes, it could be they didn't know how to handle or what was going on, but the knowledge thing doesn't add up. The strength doesn't add up, especially if you're malnourished. You're not going to have that kind of strength to do anything. Well, so it's really hard to say. The hearing voices could be from the schizophrenia.
Yeah, that's like a big thing too. I don't know, man. Because even like the later scans that they did of her brain they thought, hey, maybe it could be a tumor that's causing all this shit. But like I said, it was pristine. Nothing happened. It's I think it's hard to say for the time of what actually like happened with her, because like I said, mental illness, even now, it's like not fully understood.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't believe, though, there's any mental illness that can give you super strength or teach you languages that you've never even heard in your life, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Hearing stuff, seeing stuff, believing things that aren't really a reality, that kind of stuff for sure. Seizures, shit like that.
That's the thing, dude. Like, the mind is a powerful tool. Like, the fucking stories, like people that get hit over the head or they're in an accident and then all of a sudden they know how to play piano perfectly, but they've never played in their whole fucking life. What if this was just a case of that? Of like, the fucking, if she did have a tumor that they didn't find, it was somehow she fucking learned this knowledge of like all of like the Pope, like the fucking priest that was excommunicated. But another interesting thing is, after this case, the Pope kind of cut back on like the amount of exorcisms that he was allowing. Like, no,
you only get 25.
The limit's 65 and then it's done. But no, after this case, it kind of they kind of tightened up on the fucking what's it called? On all the shit.
The amount done.
Yeah.
You can only exercise 5 times.
And another thing is, when they exhumed the body, the family wasn't allowed to see the body, and neither was any of the 2 priests that were in the exorcism.
Why?
I don't know. It just says that they weren't allowed to view it. Another priest had viewed the body, and he was the one. There was 2 of them. One of them said that the body was like not fucking like decomposing properly. That it was like,
yeah,
it was fine. Like, nothing had happened to it. And that's crazy. Like, they didn't let the family into the mortuary to see the fucking body. Like,
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
this is their daughter. Why wouldn't you let them see the body? And another one said, oh, no, yeah, it's perfectly aged for, like, the time, like, the period of time that we're in for the body. So, I don't know. All around, it's just a very weird case.
Yeah, that one sounds a little bit odd.
But if you are ballsy enough, some of the audio recording you can find on YouTube, and 37 of the fucking recordings of the exorcisms were actually used in trial.
If you send me the video you had with the actual audio, I can put it as a link in the description.
Oh fuck! I'll see if I can find it for you, because it was in a video I was watching.
Yeah, no, just send that, and then they can kind of watch and hear that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's I just remembered I have to drive home after this. I just have to stop at the gas station, pump gas, and then go home.
Well, just go out of your way a little and go to QT. You'll be fine.
Well,
that's a ghost-free zone.
Is it? But the crackheads are there. I'd rather deal with the ghost. Yeah, but that's what I got, man. That was my little exorcist tale. What do you have?
So mine is about an exorcism in the late 1940s that was on an anonymous boy that they just called him, or gave him the pseudonym Roland Doe or Robbie Mannheim. And he was 14 years old, and they said that he was a victim, allegedly, of the demonic possession. And the events, they ended up being recorded by the attending priest, which was Raymond J. Bishop. And then after all those events happened, then they ended up, making the Exorcist novel and all that kind of shit. But this stuff started getting reported in mid 1949, and it was coming from the family's former pastor. So they're saying that a total of 48 people witnessed the exorcism. 9 of them were Jesuits.
The fuck is a Jesuit?
I have no idea. It's a form of priest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, they went through, they dictated everything that happened. They went on to kind of explain his life and his living in Cottage City, Maryland. He was an only child, so he depended on adults in his household to be playmates, which ended up being his aunt. Now, his aunt was a spiritualist and actually introduced the kid to the Ouija board.
Well, what the fuck?
Yeah, why would you take a little kid and be like, oh, here, check this shit out?
Well, I mean, if that's like his only like fucking playman, that's like her best. I mean, his best friend is his fucking aunt.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like, well, if anything happens to me, you can always contact me. Like, it's supposed to be like in a sweet way.
Well, funny you mention that, because after the aunt died, the family started hearing strange noises, furniture moving of its own accord, and ordinary objects like vases or vase, whatever the hell you want to say.
Call me crazy. I don't think that's the aunt.
Right. Just flying or levitating whenever the boy was nearby.
Expelliarmus.
And yeah. And they turned to a Lutheran pastor, Miles Schultz, for help.
Yeah.
Because they were wondering if it could be anything to do with parapsychology. And they actually arranged for the boy to spend a night in his home so he could be observed. So, I mean, it's a pretty interesting thing because it never gave much after that.
Yeah.
Other that after he stayed and, got the observation is when he ended up going through all these exorcisms. That's the other thing too that I hated when I was, looking at everything, trying to look at in depth, at least what I saw.
Yeah.
It didn't say how many, but it did say that during the exorcism, he had slipped one of his hands out of the restraints, broke a bed spring from under the mattress, and used it as a weapon. He slashed a priest's arm, resulting in the ritual being halted.
Yeah, I would punch a kid in the fucking forehead for that.
Right.
So not even like on purpose, just kind of like as a reflex.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then they traveled to St. Louis to deal with a bishop at the university. And then the priests ended up visiting, or the bishop and the priest, ended up visiting the young man and his relatives in a relative's home. And apparently, like, as soon as they got there, shit started getting kind of weird. They observed a bed shaking, flying objects, and the boy speaking in a guttural voice and exhibiting aversions to anything sacred.
Oh, damn.
So once they brought that to the archbishop, then they got permission to do another exorcism that took place at the Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, before it began, another priest was called in to help. And apparently, once everything started again, marks and things started appearing, saying like evil and hell on the teenager's body, and then disappearing.
What the hell?
And then during the litany of the saints portion of the exorcism, the boy's mattress started shaking, and then the boy broke one of the priest's noses.
What?
Yeah.
So he punched the priest in the face, or he kicked him, or a headbutt?
See, and that's the thing too, is it didn't unfortunately say too much on how, and that's where that story, or at least the basis of it, kind of just ends. It didn't explain if the the exorcism was successful, if it wasn't. And that's kind of one of the things that, you know, are terrible. I mean, it goes into kind of like a book that was written and then kind of saying, okay, well, this didn't happen, but this did, but there was never any of this. So it's kind of a controversial.
What was the name of the kid?
Roland Doe.
I think actually I came across that when I was doing the research for mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think he grew up to be like perfectly fine, actually. I guess it did work, but the whole thing was like they just didn't release his name or any information about him.
Yeah,
the
and
family had like an anonymity.
Anonymity.
Yes.
Anonymity.
An anonymity clause.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's some of those things add up and kind of make sense. Other ones, it's like, did that happen? Did that not happen? But it's with exorcisms, it's hard to say. You know, there's some that you see and, you know, you'll watch a video for and you're like, oh shit, that's fake. That can't be real. And then there's other ones that you'll watch and you'll hear something being spoken or you'll see a scratch appear and it's like, well, clearly no one's around it. They can't just sit there and do that themselves, especially when they're being restrained.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm so curious, like, because 14-year-olds, yeah, they have some strength, but would they have enough strength to break a nose? Because I don't know, man.
I mean, it doesn't, I don't think it takes a lot of pounds of pressure to break a nose. I know if it was like an arm or something, that would be a different story. But as a nose, it's
kind of
fairly,
yeah, you're right. I don't think it takes too much pressure just to fucking break a nose.
So it actually is only, well, as little as 7 pounds of pressure will break a nose.
Yeah, no, never mind. I can see a teenage boy just but let me ask you a question. Do you think you would be able to be in this, like, a situation of an exorcism, like be in the presence with one?
You know, I would love to. If I had the chance, I would be all for it. I'd be around it. I'd, you know, do whatever I could to help. I'd want to be in the room, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, if we had the chance to do that as a paranormal thing, I'd be all fucking in.
I would not. You could take the third member, but I would for sure not go to that. That's where I would draw the line. Like, I'm okay investigating, like, ghosts and, like, other sightings and shit. But an actual, like, oh, yeah, it's a demon. I'm like, nope, I pass.
Well,
Sorry.
but I mean, we don't know if it is or not. The only way to know is to actually be there and see.
Oh, yeah, I'm for sure not going to be there for that, though.
See what's real and what isn't.
Another thing is interesting, just to kind of tie into this. A while back for your VR, you had downloaded the Exorcist Legacies or something like that.
Yes.
And with that, you play a retired cop investigating, like, supposedly like, exorcism shit. And I told you about the game just so you can, like, look it up and see the trailer, how, like, scary it was. I wasn't expecting you to actually download the game and then make us play at night.
Oh, yeah, no. So listen to this podcast, and then if you have a VR, go get that game and play it. It is actually pretty damn terrifying. A lot of good jump scares. It's really
this isn't sponsored by Exorcist Legacy. This is just us saying that it's a great game. It's terrifying. It has, like, a lot of cool little levels you have to get through.
And play that and then decide if you want to go see a real exorcism.
Yeah. But like I said, this isn't sponsored by Exorcist Legacy. But what it is sponsored by is today's sponsor is actually, shameless plug, Unrivaled Java. If you are in the Tucson area, go ahead and check them out. They are legitimately pound for pound the best cold brew coffee I have ever had.
It's like crack, but legal.
Exactly. I had a couple of the things on their menu. I don't think I'm at liberty to say it because they haven't launched. They're going to be launching this month. In February.
I know, it seems like this month is already over.
Oh my God, I think we're like on the last day of this month. I think we have one more day.
Yep, but tomorrow.
I'm so excited. They're launching in February. I'm for sure going to be there all the fucking time. But yeah, they're just a great company. They've helped us so much with the podcast. But I'm not just saying that because they've helped us. I'm saying it because they are legitimately one of the best coffee companies out there right now in the game. Like I said, if you're in Tucson, you can check them out on Facebook for their locations. If you want to try ordering something early, I don't think they will do that. But you can always get in contact for them for more information about where they're going to be every day. But we just a very special thank you from us to them.
We appreciate you
so much. Unrivaled Java, universally better.
Now just be ready because they're going to put Dutch Bros out of business and Starbucks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that was our podcast for today. It feels so good to get back into like the fucking podcast game because like I said, I've been out for maybe like 2-3 months and just coming back to this, like having to do the research, coming back to like all of you guys. I know we have like listeners from like all around the world, and I apologize that I've been out for a while. I know my partner here's been holding it down.
Can't stop, won't stop, baby, let the beat drop.
What the fuck was that? But like I said, I not only want to thank Unrivaled Java, I want to thank my partner. I want to thank all of you guys that are listening. Thank you so much. We can't do what we do if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, I mean, we love you guys. You guys make us what we are. So thank you for being supporters, listeners, fans, family.
Firmly. Sorry, we've been watching the Fast and Furious a lot. But yeah, like I said, this was this week's episode. Stay tuned. We'll be back for another episode next week. So thank you so much, everybody.